Welcome to Arcade Couch, the best place to get your gaming goodness every Saturday at 6 a.m. onwards. The Explosion Network's brand new gaming variety podcast. This is episode 2. Quickly to go over, in case you don't know what this is, it is our gaming show. We, of course, already had Platinum Explosion, which was very PlayStation specific. This is going to be all sorts of consoles, all sorts of platforms, all sorts of news, Australian gaming news, normal gaming news, esports news, whatever, all of it. Let's talk about it. Let's do it. That's what this is. We didn't really cover it last week because, of course, we did the episode live at PAX, so this is episode 2, but really...
We should have called the PAX episode like episode 0. Because that was nothing to do with the rest of the show.
0.5.
Yeah, it's fine.
Or like 0.25.
Or Arcade Couch Live.
Yeah, Arcade Couch Live.
On a separate feed.
Just kick it off and start. It's fine. My name is Dylan Blight. Joining me this week, have you heard, Ashley Hobley.
Hey, Dylan. It's good to be here on the couch. And Ciaran Marchant.
Howdy, all. And Merry Christmas.
It's not quite Christmas, but Christmas decorations are out in stores and places.
Yeah,
so
we're selling stuff.
Doesn't detail.
Just get prepped.
Like
it was Halloween.
Christmas.
Halloween's done. Let's go Christmas, you know?
That is exactly how it works.
People need time to mail stuff.
No,
That's what it is.
Yeah, not these days. Come on, it takes like
if you've got
2 days
people
now,
for overseas, it takes a while for the mail to get there.
That's why you just order it from the Amazon of the place, of the country they're in.
Old people.
That's the problem.
Today on the show, we're going to be discussing how reporting on Red Dead cost Trusted Reviews $1 million. BlizzCon just happened. We're going to be talking about Overwatch and League of Legends World Championships or Cups. We're going to be talking about Australia's first Game Awards, and Drew Agnew from the House of Murray is going to be stopping by to talk to me about Pokemon. Let's go, Eevee.
I hope
Pikachu,
Drew likes the couch. It's a nice couch, and he's going to be.
It's a nice couch. We put a lot of money into it, so it's going to be
first guest on the couch. It's nice. That's nice.
Warming up.
Yeah.
The special job had to go to someone, and it went to him. So let's jump into the first story. Trusted Reviews, not a site I really read regularly myself. I had heard of them.
It sounds like
Trust Reviews, yeah.
It sounds like a scam in many ways. Nobody puts trusted in their name unless they're not supposed to be trusted.
Yeah.
If they're supposed to be doing something dodgy.
Trusted lawyers.
Trusted prince.
Trusted drug dealers.
Exactly. Trusted friends or frenemies.
So Trust Reviews has been forced by Take-Two Interactive to donate $1.8 million to 3 different charities because of an article that they published about Red Dead Redemption back in 2017 that was a bunch of leaks. And there has been heaps of talk online about the legality of how this works when it comes to what you can talk about when something is leaked, what is okay for games press, because of course a lot of stuff gets leaked and you often hear stories come through Kotaku. Jason Schreier especially is one of the big ones that often says stuff about sources, and it's usually covered under they never give the name of the person that gave them the information, obviously to protect them, and the site never really gets in trouble because most of the times it falls into it's sort of legal, it's sort of fine, and then at the same time most places would never even bother to try and take a place to court over it, because if they lost the battle against someone like an IGN or a Kotaku, then the gaming company would look really stupid. And of course, you know what gamers are like, and we're going to talk about gamers in the main topic a bit later. But gamers, if a company took IGN or somewhere to court and lost, all of a sudden that gaming company would just be ridiculed, I feel, online for something so ridiculous. However, this seems like a case of Trusted Reviews, which is a small, well, it's not like tiny, obviously, small like us.
Obviously, they had $1.8 million just.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They were owned. They used to be. They are owned by TI Media, which is Time Inc. in the UK, a bigger company. So they did have a like money backing them, but they're not as big as your main three. Whatever you want to know, that put those as IGN.
There must be like
Kotaku,
regional based,
GameSpot,
like
something.
like they're regional, like in the UK and stuff. They must be reasonably big.
Yeah, it's a UK only thing, which is there are some different laws between the UK and the US when it comes to law stuff, but a lot of people are putting it down to being a case of Take-Two or Rockstar, or not really Rockstar, Take-Two basically bullying a company into taking down an article.
Unless Take-Two have some kind of evidence to say that there is an illegitimate means of getting the information or getting the leaks that has been used.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. It's one of those two things. Either they've decided to put their foot down and were being like thrown their weight around, or they got this information illegally. Whether they hacked them or somebody walked into their office and stole some stuff, I don't know, but I would assume it's the second.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. They never named who the source was. So how do they know how the information...
Unless somebody's come forward or something. I think there's more to play on this story. Like, I don't think... Even though, like, Take-Two is so big, I don't see them just randomly doing this. And they've done it... Like, the weird thing is it's taken them almost 12 months, like, after the release of Red Dead Redemption 2, to come forward and do this act, like, and complete this. So they've obviously taken the time to go through, or had their legal team to go through this and gather evidence enough to prove that they deserve the money. It's just, I don't know. I think there's more information in there that we might not be privy to.
Well, what's on their website now is a really weird thing. So the article that was once the Red Dead Redemption leaked article on the website now reads as follows, and it's sad and weird, and it's just oozes oddness. On February 6, 2018, we published an article that was sourced from a confidential corporate document. So there's your source from a confidential corporate document. But once again, who sourced that information? Who gave it to them? If it was someone leaking it from the inside, then they...
Unless nobody gave it to them, unless they took it.
Yeah, if one of the employees snuck into the office or something, you know what I mean? Like some weird thing. But it comes down to if it is an if it's someone from Rockstar or Take-Two or one of their connected companies, subsidiaries or whatever, that found the document and decided to leak it, that no company would ever get in trouble for posting that.
It depends on the document, because can't some documents have almost like an NDA or something attached to them, like as a part of the document, that if this document does get leaked, the person not leaked, but if this document does get put in like a public like place, it can be like they can press charges, not press charges, but sue people for it.
It depends how damaging it is, and most of the time a court's not going to take something like they leaked a game mechanic or they leaked the release date, or most places aren't going to take these as super serious things that are worth.
It depends. It depends comparing it to like leaking the details of like an invention somebody's come up with, like leaking what it's done to another company.
That'd be equivalent of leaking the code that they were using in Red Dead to do certain things.
Yeah.
That's when, sure, you're leaking the actual intellectual property and owned.
What did the actual article contain? Like, what kind of leaks was it?
So it was. Where is it? The article contains. So I've got from Kotaku. This article contained a list of bullet points that claimed, among other things, that you'd be able to play all of Red Dead 2 in first person, which turned out to be true, and that the online component would have a battle royale mode yet to be determined. So people are kind of being now like, if they're going after this just as the game's coming out, are they going after it because of the Battle Royale thing? I don't. It's a weird situation.
Like, it's really odd, but I get the feels that there's something more to this from Take-Two side of things.
So the Take-Two put out a response that said, Take-Two takes security seriously and will take legal action against people or publications who leak confidential information. Because this situation involved information about Red Dead Redemption 2, Rockstar Games directed the settlement funds to these three great charities: the American Indian College Fund, the American Prairie Reserve, and the First Nations Development Institute. So it is obviously good that they weren't like, give us $1.8 million. They told them to give it to charities, but at the same time, people are asking questions about
Why?
like why, and then what does this mean for, of course, all games journalism?
Yep.
If companies can start bullying around companies like this, and especially what does it mean for if you're not one of the big three, then you're basically, if someone leaked you a good story and you like, can you publish it, or a lot of places are going to be too scared now unless they're Kotaku or something. That's where the problem comes in. So
It'll be interesting to
like
see.
where the legal grounds. It's also something that, as far as I can remember, and I googled to see if anything like this has happened before. No, like this, and stuff is leaked all the time. Every year stuff's leaked. That's how a lot of gaming news comes out: leaks and rumors or people on Reddit post stuff, and then people all laugh at them, and it turns out they were actually posting real stuff, but no one took them seriously. So leaks are always coming out, but you never see something so drastic as this happen, or a company go so hard after a website publication. So it's interesting. I don't know if it's just something that happens and disappears, or if it does scare a lot of the smaller sites. Time will tell. Next up, so we have the first ever Australian Gaming Awards were announced just a couple of days ago. Is a thing that's going to be happening in Sydney, and you're able to nominate stuff for games, press, companies, Twitch people, Mixer streamers, etc., etc.
Mixer
streamers.
streamers.
There's a whole thing.
Don't look
this
down on the
article
Mixer
comes
streamers, Ciaran.
Bloody Mixer.
This article comes from pressstart.com.au. The Australian Game Awards will provide gamers with a chance to nominate and then vote across a wide variety of categories, 29 to be exact. I think maybe this was published before they added one more, which they did add tabletop category as well, like best tabletop game.
Awesome.
Ranging from games, accessories, games journalism, esports, and content creation. The fully fledged award show is being organised by Trade Media and will take place on December 19th at the Big Top in Sydney's Luna Park. Gamers will be able to purchase one of 200 ultimate fan tickets through Eevee Games Australia for $199.
Far out.
Each attendee will receive food, drinks, and exclusive swag to be announced at a later
Swiggity
date.
swag.
So to quickly go over the awards, if you don't know, I'll quickly go. So you got Action Adventure Title Audio Brand of the Year, Australian Developed Game of the Year, presented by Bethesda. Breakout Creator of the Year, Controller and Accessories Brand of the Year. It says includes chairs, travel cases, sure. Cosplayer of the Year, Creator of the Year, Esports Personality of the Year, Esports Title of the Year, Family Kids Title of the Year, Game of the Year, Gaming Publication of the Year, Independent Game of the Year presented by Nintendo, Journalist of the Year, Mixer Creator of the Year, Mobile Handheld Title of the Year, Multiplayer Online Title of the Year, Organization of the Year, Play of the Year, Player of the Year, RPG of the Year, Shooter of the Year, Social Media God, Best use of social media, community engagement, sports racing or fighting title of the year, strategy title of the year, team of the year, the game changer has influenced positive change in games, Twitch creator of the year, and YouTube creator of the year. And then, that doesn't list the one I said before, which is they did add a best tabletop game. What are our thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on this? The first inaugural Australian Game Awards.
Is it just like a normal Game Awards in Australia, or is it looking at Australian made things? Like is it say for esports, is it going to look for the best Australian esports, like as in like that scene within Australia, or are they going to be looking globally?
It's user nominated,
okay,
so
it isn't specified.
It isn't specified.
There's no restrictions to make.
It's just the fact that it's in Australia. Okay.
So people can go in there and nominate Ninja.
So what we're going to say is,
do you think
the Russians are gonna corrupt our gaming awards?
Possibly.
Maybe you have to have an Australian IP to be able. Well, that doesn't.
I doubt it.
Look, when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, EB Games is a big partner, so that means EB Games is going to be pumping it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start thinking about EB Games' audience and who's going to be voting in this, and that's where it seems like a bit of a joke, but it's like Ninja's surely going to be in there as best esports player or something.
Well, no, I don't think he'll be like streamer, because he's not really an esports person. Like, kind of. I don't want to accept that. I don't want to accept that, though. I think you wouldn't Twitch streamer unless, like, like maybe some of like the bigger Australian names, like Loserfruit get more involved with it, or might campaign for it or whatever. Like Ninja might not even know about it or care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ash, what do you reckon?
It's cool. I mean, whatever you can do to promote games in Australia, I guess, is a good thing.
It's a good start. Like we should.
Yeah. It feels like it's going to be more like a Logies event because for the fan tickets, they're talking about wine and like drinks and dinner. So like people like sitting at tables, like the Golden Globes, like that sort of, rather than like the
Don't
Oscars.
say we're
going to
be the Logies of fucking gaming. Oh my god.
I mean, I don't know what you're expecting. They're not going to get.
Oh, that's
They're not going to get
sad.
Steve Martin to host.
You've just like harpooned the whole award show with that one sentence.
Well, it is all popularity votes, so
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah.
Of course, friend of the show, Dash, has his own. We're involved with his awards, which will be going on at the same time. I think if I had to pick between,
Not as much. Not a big award ceremony though.
No, but if I had to
We
pick
certainly
between-
didn't get any tickets.
If I had to look at the categories, since that's the only thing that we can know about, and his awards were quite big last year. Like the numbers that the Dash Awards were getting last year were huge. Like,
Yeah.
to be honest, if you actually go look at the engagement on those awards, they were ridiculous numbers he was getting on that stuff. So you can compare them to this, I think. Although a lot, like if you said that and some people like laughed in your face, but it's like, look, go look at those numbers that you are allowed to compare these two things to a degree, because there is no one. There's no name another award thing that happens for me to compare this to. There isn't one.
No, that's fair.
And
That's fair.
if I had to, and I'll say
The
this.
Game Awards.
Yeah, Australian only though.
What was it?
I'll vote in
I'm assuming there was some sort of awards during Melbourne Games Week, International Games Week. I saw Paperbuck
They do
won
like
something.
industry awards.
Yeah.
This is the only, this is
the only
public.
public. And
you know.
a lot of the awards are like focused on indie stuff. There's no overall awards. Dash just needs to let the esports love in. Just let.
He's got an
He
esports
has?
category.
He does.
Yeah, how about you go look at our fucking
I
form
know
that you've
everything
gotta
else.
fill
I
out
didn't
to-
see esports there. Okay,
Yeah,
that
it's
makes
best
me happy.
esports team.
He can put his personal
Yeah, but
opinions on things aside for the okay,
That's good.
Dash
Okay,
Awards.
Dash. Good on you.
Jesus
Good on
Christ.
you.
I personally prefer Dash's ones to this, because there's a lot of stuff that I don't like here, particularly the lack of any podcasting stuff, which is what like the heaviest community we're involved in, and most up and coming gaming media people in Australia do podcast as either one of their main platforms or their main platform. That's just kind of how it works these days. Or like Twitch is their main and they do a podcast or something like that. So it's really odd that isn't involved. There's some really odd ones in here, like the tones off, but at the same time, I am like, it's a thing. It's good for the industry. Surely you'd have to think. I don't know. Only time will tell.
Let's not,
let's wait and find out if it's a complete shit show.
Let's
We'll
not
find out.
automatically just shit on it, and let's not look at it and be like, no, this is terrible. Let's not do that. Let's support it.
I don't think it's terrible. I'm just
Give it a chance.
I like judging the categories. I think the categories could have been better.
They could have. They could have. Hell yeah.
And then I also think putting it in Sydney, the most expensive place to fucking set anything, and then charging $199 for a ticket.
Eevee
Well,
Games
there's
loves
only
Sydney.
200 tickets. It's like going to any award ceremony. That I just had a quick look at the Game Awards. If you want to get good seats at the Game Awards, they're like $150, and that's just to sit there.
Is that 150? That's 150 American, I'm guessing.
No, that's been
Converted?
exchange rated, converted.
Oh, okay. That's really good. Okay.
And the Game Awards has a lot more going for it, to be fair.
And there has
You're there
announcements
front
and
and
stuff.
center as they
But
announce.
you don't get fed
world
and
exclusives.
You're there-
drunk,
you're there
and you don't
for-
get sweet exclusive swag.
You don't
that's
get,
sweet exclusive
but
swag.
you're not going to go to the Australian Game Awards and spend half the time be confused at some Hideo Kojima trailer that they show.
If they, yeah,
It's possible. But yeah, time will tell. As a I'm being a bit negative on the categories and that sort of stuff. But as I said, like the more stuff, the better. Of course, is good for the industry. That's
Year
unless
one
of course it's
like half of the Australian events is always bad anyway. So
so
it'll grow. It'll get better.
Yeah.
we'll just see how it goes. We'll find out soon enough. But
I think
that is a thing that is happening.
Maybe the more interesting question is, why are they doing it? Like, what's the incentive for them for trade media to be doing this event?
Money.
But they're charging $199 for 200 seats. Only there's going to be more than 200 people there. There's going to be a lot of industry people there.
Yeah, how much are they charging them for $10 a fucking beer while they're sitting there?
That's true. But I assume that's going to be Luna Park making the money for.
Yeah, and they got all the partners involved. I don't know. We'll find out more as time goes on. I think. We'll
Do you think
get
this
some
will be
numbers and what's
broadcast
happening.
or streamed somewhere? It'd have to be.
That's the
wouldn't
other thing. Is like, is it actually a show or is it people sitting in a that we don't know? It was a weird announcement. Weird way to announce it. Very confusing way to announce it.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm following the Game Awards account and Jeff Keighley at the moment, and these two accounts are getting amped up ready for December 4th, whenever the Game Awards kicking off, and I know that show's going to be good to watch.
Yeah.
Like,
It's going to be an
it may
event
full-
because there isn't just Game Award stuff going on. There's also the releases, the announcements, the random people telling the Oscars to get fucked. There's going to be things happen.
Yeah, there's going to be lots of stuff happening. Next story. Nintendo has released an Adventures Await trailer for Pokemon Let's Go this week that shows off the adorable nature of the game and a more chilled vibe, even if it ends with a very scary Mewtwo showing up at the end. Mm-hmm. It's quite scary, everyone. And with its release coming up next week, I invited Drew from the House of Morio to come chat about the game. Welcome to the couch, the House of Mario's Drew Agnew. How are you going?
Good, thanks, man. How we going?
Oh, pretty good. Want to talk to you about some Pokemon.
Oh, yes.
Pokemon Let's Go is releasing at the end of next week, Friday the 16th of November. Mm-hmm. Are you excited?
I'm pretty keen, yes. I'm very keen.
You're a big Pokemon fan.
Yeah, I've been a Pokemon fan for pretty much all of my gaming life. Pokemon's what's gotten me into gaming, so yeah, I've been wanting Pokemon to come to the consoles for a long time, so this is finally how it's happening. So I'm looking forward to it.
Is it, in the long run, looking at it now, are you happy with how it's coming, I guess? Considering it's... there's a little bit of an uproar that it's, a baby's Pokemon game, whatever, however you want to word it. Are you fine with it making its first big step this way?
Yeah, I'm fine with it coming this way. It's not exactly what I want. Obviously, that's going to be the RPG next year. So they announced that basically so people like big Pokemon fans will sort of give this a slide this year and just wait for next year. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it because I love the Kanto region, which this takes place in from Red and Blue. I love the idea of it's based on Yellow. You've got Team Rocket back. You've got all these things back. And I'm really, I'm looking forward to just having a casual Pokemon game, not worrying about stats, not worrying about, IVs, EVs. I'm looking forward to going back to basics.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so it's basically a remake of Yellow, right? To an extent. You've got
degree. Different characters. You play as two different player characters. You can obviously in one version you can choose Eevee, and I think things like Team Rocket are back, and that what we're introducing Yellow based off the anime.
So its combat is basically, for people who don't know, the combat and the biggest change is instead of having you go into battle against a random Pokemon and then fighting it, getting its life down to small, putting it to sleep, paralyzing it, whatever you want to do, and then going to throw your Pokeballs at it. The Let's Go segment of it is basically from the mobile Pokemon Go games, which means that you get into combat with a Pokemon you want to capture. You don't really need to do anything. You can use berries with it to make it easier to catch, sure, but other than that, it is the simple concept of throwing your Pokeball at the Pokemon. Is that, does that upset you, or is the actual, you still have trainer combat, that is fine. Obviously, when you battle, it is still your typical Pokemon combat. Do you think it's an even balance there, or would you rather it actually be the other way, Would you rather trainer combat be more simplified?
God.
And
No, definitely not trainer combat more simplified. When they first announced the catching mechanics, I honestly rolled my eyes. I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. But for this type of game, if they want to do an easy capture mechanic, I think it's going to be great for real little kids. My co-host Bryce from the House of Murray, he's excited to play it with his daughter. Just give his Joy-Con to her, and she just throws the Pokeball. I think it's going to be great for that, but it does leave a lot to be desired for me personally, not being able to whittle them down and catch them that way. But I played the game at PAX. It was fun. Like it was all right. You throw the Pokeball just by lobbing the Joy-Con or the Pokeball Go Plus. It's different. Sort of have to spend my time with it to sort of see what it's all about. But for this type of game, I think it's going to be fine. I don't think it's going to be bad. Like if this is going to be got the trend going on with the whole series, that'd be really disappointing. But for this one-off game, which is meant to be casual, meant to be aimed at a very young audience, and I think it's going to be fun.
I mean, for me personally, as someone who hasn't played any of the core Pokemon games in, I don't know, four like the last.
What
four
were the
or
last
so,
ones you
I
played?
think. Diamond.
Oh, really?
Generation, whatever that was. Yeah.
Well, that was a long time ago. That was 10 years ago.
Yeah. Okay, 10 years ago. There you go. See?
That's 2007.
See?
Yep. So
There you go.
yeah.
That's how long I haven't played. And I dropped off for no other reason than when the next ones were coming out, I was like, it's just more of the same. And I know there's more Pokemon. Like, obviously, there's regions, characters, new Pokemon, obviously. But I was just sick of the same gameplay loop.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, it was my problem. And I'm legitimately excited for this one because it is very simple, very casual. It is also a semi-remake of the first Pokemon game I ever played when I was a kid. So I've also got that element. But it also means that for someone like me, and I'm sure there's a lot of people like me who've dropped out at different stages, it also means that I can jump back into a Pokemon game that feels good, easy to play, bit of nostalgia, and I can just have a relaxing time. And then it gets me back in ready for next year, for when we've got the proper, quote unquote, proper Pokemon game. And also this one is going to bring in presumably a lot of new audiences, I'd say, with the Let's Go/Go audience. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who have never played a proper Pokemon game who have only played the Go game.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see if they can bring that audience over. Obviously, that's still a huge audience, even if it's died down a lot since 2015 when it came out. So, yeah, I think what really excites me about this game is just the graphics. Obviously, on the Switch, it's got a lot more horsepower than the 3DS ever had. So that's what excites me, being able to actually take it with me, even put it down and play it on the TV as well. Even if like in the battles, like you can only use motion controls in handheld mode as well. That might be an issue for people that can't, do the controls, whether they've got a broken hand or disability or whatever it might be. I think that might be an issue. But apart from that, I think it's going to be great.
Would you say that this is the best jumping on point for the Pokemon franchise in recent years?
It's definitely a better point than Sun and Moon. I think Sun and Moon, they added a fair few features that might have been overwhelming, but I guess the thing of Pokemon is that it's always been a easy to enter series. It's always been like kind of funny. The guys I know, like a lot of us listen to, they describe Pokemon as baby's first RPG. And while I don't necessarily agree with that terminology, because you can really get deep with Pokemon mechanics, it's always been a game that's you can play it however you want. My first game was Ruby and Sapphire, and I played through the whole thing. I got my starter Pokemon Mudkip, and I went through with Swampert, and I actually got to the Pokemon League, and I never taught him a new attack. He only had Tackle, Water Gun, and whatever he had when I first got him. And the reason I did that is because when I first got Water Gun, I was like, holy crap, this attack's really good, and I never got rid of it, because at the start of the game it was good. So obviously over the years I got a lot better at Pokemon. I didn't just keep the same attacks and that, and it really shows how you can play the game how you like. You can be really bad at it, but you can still get through it. Or you can really plan out a team, make sure you cover all your weaknesses and all that. So I don't necessarily think Let's Go is going to be like the best starting off point. It's definitely going to be the best starting point for real young kids. But Pokemon series has always been great at bringing in new audiences and catering to the old fans like us as well.
Yeah. Talking about the controller stuff before, what do you think about the fact that this is another Nintendo game that can't use the Pro Controller, that has these limited options in handheld mode, is basically designed to be played primarily docked using Joy-Con motion controls or the what's the official name of the Pokeball? Does the Pokeball have
Pokeball Go Plus.
Pokeball Go Plus. So it's designed to basically be used with that or the Joy-Cons. What do you think about them locking it out again of the Pro Controller?
I think it's, to be honest, it doesn't worry me. Like, obviously I've got a Pro Controller. When I sit down on the couch, I use my Pro Controller. But this game's all about using one Joy-Con and actually, you know, the main motion is throwing a Pokeball. So, you know, they could have put it on the Pro Controller, but actually just doing a lobbing motion on the Pro Controller would have been odd. And everyone has a Joy-Con, so I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I know when you come on the House of Mario, when you and Dash and that really didn't like the idea of it, Mario Party did the same thing. But I sort of fall into the same boat there, where all the mini games sort of rely on just one hand to do these gestures to do the motion controls.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference between Mario Party and this is that Mario Party is all these mini games, and it's obviously designed around all the mini games, whereas Pokemon has too much of a correlation between, in my head, of just being a game.
Yeah.
I play it, and the idea, I was really excited about having taking it around in handheld mode a lot more, but knowing that I'm gonna have to still, I can't just relax and play it. I can't just lay on my back on my bed or whatever and just relax and play the Pokemon game. That's a little bit annoying. Is my thing, because obviously growing up, Pokemon, it's just laying in bed with my Game Boy. It's that's what it is.
Yeah.
So.
When the developers were making this game, and the way they talk about it, they don't talk about this as a pick up and take it on the go game. They think about it as this is the core RPG console game. This is the game that's going to be played on the TV. You're going to have two Joy-Cons. You're going to be playing 2-player with you and your kids or you and your friends. And the RPG they're talking about next year, they talk about that as the handheld game, which you'll be taking around with you. So I assume that will be no motion controls, none of this stuff, which makes it hard to sort of take with you.
Yeah. With the motion controls, one last thing on it. When you're throwing a Pokeball in Pokemon Go on your phone, have this kind of rhythm of, I always spin throw my Pokeballs at this stage. It's what I always do now. So I grab the ball, I start swinging it around in a motion, I flick it off into the direction. Is holding the Joy-Con or the Pokeball Go Plus, is it comfortable to throw it around, or does it just really feel like you're doing this weird underarm throw? Or is there a fluidity to it of all?
Yeah, I played it with the Pokeball Go Plus, and I just sort of you get a ring you can put around your index finger to make sure you're holding the Pokeball the right way, and you just basically do a throwing motion. It doesn't have. It's not a flick. It's not like a waggle. It's something like that. It's just a smooth motion you do. And I think I didn't actually try this that much, but I think you can do you can tilt the ball and stuff like that to give it curve, sort of like you do in Wii Sports bowling, if you know what I mean. Sort of do that little curve.
You can't do an Ash Ketchum winded up baseball throw though.
Oh, you can try. You can put the wrist strap on and you can just go for it. Just don't. If you're playing on a computer monitor on that, maybe swivel your chair back a bit so you don't just punch your screen. We don't want anything like that, but. You can try. Wear a baseball cap. Just go for it. I think that's what. I think that's what's going to be fun in this game. Just don't worry about stats. Don't get serious. Just waggle your Joy-Con, catch some Psyducks, and have some fun.
Catch some Psyducks, have some fun. If anything, this game's more about cutifying your Pokemon and going to beauty contests and having powerful stats. It seems. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. The big question, Eevee or Pikachu?
Pikachu.
Oh, do you want to justify that or
No, well, I've always been a Pikachu fan. There was a bit in primary school where you're going through your I'm cool stage. You're like, oh, I don't like Pikachu, because he's the popular one. He's the mascot. But Pikachu is one of my favorite Pokemon. I love Pikachu. And the idea of playing as Eevee, love Eevee as well. But just the idea of playing through the whole game with just a normal type that can't evolve. I know in this game they've given him a lot more moves to make him a lot better. But yeah, Pikachu just appeals more to me personally.
I'll allow it. I mean, in a dream world, I'll just pick up both games and have fun with both. But we're back in the days of Twilight here. It's hashtag Team Edward or Jacob, and you got to be on Eevee or Pikachu. So that's the world of Pokemon we're living in now.
Yeah,
there was none of this back in the day. It was just, which one did you have, Squirtle or Charmander, or where'd you go? And you gave the answer, and everyone was like, all right, fair enough. But
nice.
It's a hard world of Pokemon now. You gotta justify which one you pick.
You do. It's a very important question. It really is.
So Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee is out Friday, November 16th. It's safe to say you would highly recommend Switch owners pick it up. Yes?
Yeah, I think so. It's the biggest game on Switch this year, easily.
You reckon it's bigger than Smash even?
Maybe not for like the core hardcore Nintendo fan. Like I'm more excited for Smash personally, but it's gonna sell double Smash like easily. It's the Pokemon series. They're aiming for a casual market. If even if the Pokemon fans and no Pokemon Go players come to it, it's still gonna sell heaps. It's gonna be huge for the Switch. Cool.
I'm looking forward to playing it as Eevee.
Very nice.
That's the way to go.
I'll give you a Pokemon
Thank you for
battle.
joining me on the couch, Drew. You can follow Drew on Twitter at iDrewby, and you can check out the House of Mario on Twitter at the House of Mario, and find the House of Mario on all your podcasting services. Anything else you'd like to chuck out there?
No, that's all good. Thank you very much for having me.
This past week, we had a very big week in esports, Ciaran.
Did we? I didn't know. I didn't watch anything.
You didn't know. So first off, we had the League of Legends. We had the League of Legends and Overwatch World Cups happening this week. So Invictus Gaming won the League of Legends World Cup.
They didn't just win; they
versus
stomped
Fnatic.
Grand finals. They
stomped us.
absolutely trounced. It was kind of not the greatest thing to watch, but it was good.
I enjoyed it. I watched this.
I was so proud of you. I saw you tweeting about it. I saw there was like a thing you shared, and I was like, "Oh, Dylan!" Oh, and then I was like, oh, "Should I reinstall League and just watch it? Like, is there a Viva La Dill account come online at some point?"
I will still put it on every now and then. And the World Cup, the League Worlds is still. I don't think I've missed League Worlds.
Haven't you?
Like,
that's good.
I always.
They're a really good
such
event.
a
Like
big
the
event.
amount of time they give for it though, it's like 3-4 weeks for just the event, which is really good.
Like
It
a
was
real
like-
sporting event, like a
Yeah.
World Cup or an Olympics.
Normally, most esports events go over like 2 weeks. So, like, there was a week between the semi-finals and the grand final. Like, it was just like the grand final was its own single night and stuff. But yeah, it looked this one meant so much because it was the first time since the very first season of the World Championships for League that a Western team had got through to the grand finals. So Fnatic was trying to go for the repeat. IG, it was the first Chinese team to get into the grand final since 2014. So there was a bit on the line. It was just, I don't know, Fnatic seemed to come in with a lot of confidence about the event. And they just got slammed and they couldn't kind of regroup or recuperate anything, and they were just behind for 3 games in a row.
I don't think Fnatic performed badly. I seriously just think IG was. They played like a team. They were like mind reading. I swear. They didn't even need to talk. They were that much of a cohesive unit.
And these are the kind of things that a lot of the teams from China's and from like the Eastern kind of countries, they kind of do this thing in esports where they so regiment and so stiff into how they play the game that like they know everything. When I previewed this matchup, I did say it would come down to the plays of the individual characters as well as teamwork, but especially like the top lane with the Shy versus Bwipo and Rookie versus Caps in the mid lane. And I think both lanes, IG, like the Shy in the top lane was just amazing. Was just like he just ate Bippo up every game and spit him out. And then for Reckles to have such a hard time in the bottom lane for Fnatic was really hard for them to deal with.
I'll say also for the League World Cup is out of all the big events, and like I looked at a little bit of the Overwatch one, but it doesn't grab me as much, obviously. But I reckon out of all the events, League is the one that if you're not into any esports, League you could sit down and watch, and even if you don't fully understand everything that's happening, I swear it would be the easiest to digest and understand, because I feel gameplay wise it's very simple to tell what is often going on, even compared to Dota or any other MOBAs especially. And then also you might argue because you're the esports guy, but I think pound for pound, League casters,
something like Ash down and watch, just because
watch something.
I don't know how. Like I would like to see more of League from the kind of standpoint of like Overwatch has this ESPN and Disney deal going on. And so Overwatch can be their presentations of the game are very they speak to you like they speak to people as if they're brand new to the game, and they talk about the game and everything. And
but I love League all the League shoutcasters.
All the League shoutcasters
they're like
are
sports.
great.
They are like sport. They are proper sports.
And you'll find
presenters.
the level of commentary and casting for all esports is coming to a better standard now that ESPN and stuff are more involved with esports. You know, they're held to a higher standard. And we're at the point in esports where players and casters are held to a higher standard, where some of the shenanigans and the trolling that they used to do just doesn't work for them anymore, and they're copping legitimate fines for being, you know, bad sportsmen or
rightfully so.
For saying inappropriate stuff or doing inappropriate gestures. Everything is to a better standard now. So I'd be interested to see, actually, you know, what do you want to watch one week? We do, what do you want to watch esports? And you just chill out.
Just do a react.
What you should do, actually, is go find from the start of the Worlds, because you got to watch the opening ceremony, if not only to see the KDA Pop Stars song, which is one of the best things that has happened all week.
You're in love with that, I could tell.
I've listened. I've got it on repeat on Spotify. The song's great. Song's amazing. Perfect. The video, something else. The performance at the opening ceremony performance, that was also perfect. Loved that one too. So if you want to see an event, sit down and watch that, Ash, and then wait until it actually start a game and see how long it takes you to turn it off. But you know, just watch it from the opening ceremony. I don't know. Rihanna's opening the Super Bowl for me. I got KDA over here doing the league. The World Cup.
She's doing the halftime show.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's So the other thing that happened was Overwatch World Cup. South Korea picked up their third win in a row, Ciaran.
Third win every single World Cup. Well, South Korea are just on... Well, compared to other years, South Korea are just on another level. Nobody holds a candle to them. It took until this year for the first time to drop a map in World Cup history. Like, they'd never dropped a single game in World Cup history at all. I think the best thing for World Cup now is that the level of play from everywhere else has come to a level where South Korea do look beatable. They're still really good. Like, their mechanical skill is still really, really good, but there are ways to beat them now, and there are ways to take maps off them to make them draw. You know, the grand final, which I don't think anybody would have called, was South Korea-China, and China came through and played this style that nobody really could keep up with, and it was really good to sit back and watch. I think it was a little disappointing, the grand final, because the method that South Korea play completely countered everything that China was doing. China just didn't seem prepared to be able to change their play style to fix that problem until the very last game, and even then it was too late for them.
I'll say this is the first year I've paid any attention to or read anything about the Overwatch thing. Look, because you're early late nights esports, like, it's obviously more part of Explosion Network now. I'm making sure to at least, even if I'm not watching it, at least read the head, like, kind of pay a little bit more. Try and be a little bit more aware. So I was my big takeaway from the Overwatch thing was I was like, oh, they actually just go by countries, which to me was
for World Cup, yeah, because
World Cup, yeah.
unlike League of Legends, so when we say World Championships for League of Legends, League for its normal season is divided by region, and then the top couple teams from the region plus a couple wild cards go into the World Championships and play for the World Championship to be the very best single team.
So it's like the Champions League in football.
Yeah, so it's like Champions League for them. But this is World Cup is like FIFA World Cup. Like it is each country builds a star-studded lineup of their players that are from their country.
League's done that for the All-Stars.
League does that for All-Stars? Okay.
Yeah.
And then, they build their teams. They go through group stages, and then the top 8 play at BlizzCon. Australia has made the last 2 BlizzCons, which is really good. This year, we got South Korea straight out the gate. So
that's unfortunate.
Yeah, we got the best team in the quarterfinal. So it was kind of like, ugh. So, but the Australians showed really they showed that they could play on that level. And it really helped with them potentially getting careers in Overwatch in America, not just here in the Overwatch contenders. So it was really good for them.
What I liked about it is I can see it's that kind of thing where people, in Australia, for Australian football, for instance, if they're born in a certain place, they just gravitate for barracking for whatever team is part of their state. So I see so many people on my Twitter when it was all happening, Australia this, Australia that, and because I think more people could easily just jump on who don't even really care, but they got that whole just I'm barracking for my country aspect to
really
it.
Good. Yeah, it's really good, and it gives people a chance to show what they have on a stage like that. A lot of players from some regions don't get that opportunity. Anytime an Australian player wants to trial for an American team, they have to do it online while they're in Australia, and they have to do it with 200 ping, 200 with a bunch of lag.
Yeah.
Which is really unfortunate for them. So to have that opportunity to play on that stage and show what they can do on LAN without that ping problem is really good.
If you want to hear more about esports, make sure you check out Early Late Nights every Tuesday and Friday nights at 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight or whatever fucking time zones we use.
Australian Eastern Daylight Time, yeah.
Daylight time, got
6:30.
it. 6:30, twitch.tv/Explosion Network to watch Ciaran talk about all your latest esports happenings every week.
Do it.
Let's talk about what we've been playing this week, everyone. So, apart from watching Overwatch, playing Overwatch, and doing that sort of stuff, Ciaran, you have played a little bit.
I have played Red Dead. I've put
a little bit of the Red Dead. And Ash has also been playing the Red Dead. So, what do we both think? Are we both loving it as much as everyone else?
I'm really
How
enjoying
far are
it.
we?
It's really good. I'm probably... it's hard. It's hard to say how far you're in because there's a lot of stuff that you can randomly... the other night, I jumped on... after I just wanted a break from Overwatch, and then I ended up not going back to Overwatch and playing Red Dead for 3-4 hours. But one of those hours was me playing poker the entire time because I got stuck. I was just sat at the table playing poker, and I won.
You did that mission?
One of the missions, but then after there's a mission where you get introduced to poker and you have to play poker. But then you go to a camp, and your campsite is where your other gang members are, and so you can play poker with the other gang members, which I really like because it builds more of that camaraderie and stuff, and you get to know and you get to see characters like John Marston sit down and play poker with you. So that was I waste time doing that and doing random chores and stuff, but no, I'm really enjoying it. So I'm probably I'm not that far. I'm late chapter 2 into it, but I'm having a really good time with it. I'm taking my time doing random stuff, and I think my favorite... It sounds really stupid that my favorite parts of Red Dead are the most mundane things possible. Just the little things, like looking after my horse. Actually, GTA, you steal a car, you don't care. You steal a car, you're like, I thrashed it, I crashed it into a wall, I'll get out, I'll find a new car. That damn horse... I care about so much, and it is so heartbreaking if anything happens to it. It died the other day. I turned off my PlayStation before it could save and restarted. Because I was like, I can't lose dear Artemis. Because it was my fault he died. Well, it's a girl, but, she. Sorry.
Is it?
My
all the
horse
horses
is.
I've come across have been boys.
No, mine
Is
is,
this
I had paid $150 for it. But, yeah. It was like in the mission where you get to go to the horse stable. I was like, I'll have
Yeah.
the most expensive one that I can afford. How are you going, Ash?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Again, I'm probably not too far. It's super easy to get sidetracked with like hunting and stuff. Like I see a bunch of
The
deer. I'm
hunting's
like,
so much fun. Oh,
I'll just stop and just follow that deer for a little while and then shoot it in the head. It's great. Um,
I think there's a lot of little stories that come out of it that are really
Yeah.
good. And like I was once riding for a quest with an NPC, and for some random reason the NPC somehow crashed into a cart. His horse flipped over. The NPC ragdolled through the air, landed, got up, started swearing, shot both the people that he crashed into, got back on the horse and started riding again and talking to me, being like, as I
if
was
nothing
saying.
happened.
And I was like, what the hell? What is this game?
Yeah. My favorite thing is I was taking the horse for a ride. And there's a guy struggling with his horse on the side of the road. So I stop and he goes, my character goes, oh, do you need a hand? He goes, nope. And then he gets kicked in the head by the horse and dies.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, I ran into that guy and I was like, oh, awkward. I think
And then I
it's
looted
also-
the body.
it's really nice to play like the bad guy, the outlaw. I like.
Are you being honorable or are you being not honorable?
No, I'm being a douche. Like,
Okay.
there was a random person, like this guy, and I was riding this random person that I was like, oh yeah, hey, what's up? And he's like, I'll challenge you to like a aiming contest. Like, first we'll shoot these bottles. And I was like, okay, pew, 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 pew. And I shot all the bottles first and I won. And then he's like, now it'll be the first person to shoot 4 birds out of the sky. And he counted down, he said, okay, go. I didn't know where the birds were, so he shot 4 birds first before I realized where they were. And he's like, are you going to pay me? And I was like, no. And I shot him and I took money off him and walked away. I was like, no thanks. But we'll say, every time I check before doing something bad, I look around, nobody in sight. I haven't seen anybody for like 10,
Gotta make
20
sure
minutes.
there's no witnesses.
10, 20 minutes, check. I do the bad thing. A witness has seen you. And I'm like, how? Where were they? Why are you riding here right now?
Then you got to kill the witness.
You do. You got to go after him.
Or you
What do
just
we-
threaten them. Apparently that works as well.
What do we feel compared to Red Dead Redemption 1?
I think this is complete. I think this is different to me for Red Dead Redemption 2 because Rockstar have put so much more effort into the realism and actually living the life of Arthur Morgan, like actually being him, doing the collecting money, when you get to camp, doing random chores, cleaning your horse, looking after your horse and feeding it, like just like the mundane tasks of like going to have a bath or
Yeah.
just stuff like that where you're living his life and
Yeah.
you feel like him.
I took a bath for the first time. It was awkward.
Yeah, the deluxe bath. Did
Yeah.
you pay for the deluxe bath?
Deluxe bath, yeah. For some
it's
reason,
also really
yeah, a
shout
lady
out to-
came in and helped.
yeah, she did come and help, but not too much. Anyway,
You had to pick which leg to scrub, and that's
yeah, she could only
Yes.
scrub one leg at a time. It was odd.
I know.
It was really good. There's I don't know if you've noticed, Ash. I don't know because you might not know their voices. It's really good to see stuff like Achievement Hunter, 2 of like Jack Patillo and Jeff Ramsey are voice characters in them.
I've read on Twitter that people have
Yeah,
been
of course
noticing
you have.
that.
It's everywhere on Twitter now. But no, it's really good to see those little points. But I'm loving this one a lot more than I'm loving Red Dead than I loved Red Dead 1.
Yeah. It seems like it's taken a lot of influence from San Andreas, like with that. You have to take care of your character as well as playing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can probably just get through the game without doing anything, but you'll have a more full experience by taking care of
But even like if you
your
don't
horse
eat,
and
there
taking
are
care of yourself.
Like,
yeah.
there are
penalties.
taking care of yourself is important. The paying for like your camp, you're supposed to donate money to the camp or give them items and stuff. You don't have to do that.
No,
Like,
if you do
they're not-
quests with the gang, like they get
Yeah.
cut of the money and that sort of thing.
yeah, they're Have you done the money glitch yet? You haven't. You've been a good
No,
person.
I've heard about
No,
it.
I haven't even. I haven't glitched at all. So,
Yeah, it's too-
but no, it's. I really enjoy it. I really like it compared to Red Dead 1.
the only thing I have is probably like the respawn thing. You just sort of respawn in like
Super
random
randomly?
places. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
And if you're on a quest and you're going somewhere, it's always respawns like really close to it, which I guess is kind of helpful, but it's kind of weird.
my other annoyance is if you go on a quest. I've had it happen to me a couple times now. If you go on a quest and they're like, leave your horse here, and then you take a card or something, You finish the quest and your horse is nowhere near you, and you're like, "There's no stable near you." I'm like, I have to walk to go find my horse, or like I have to go on a quest. It's just like
just
just
whistle.
find my
It
horse.
comes like Roach.
No, but if he's too far away, he doesn't come. He won't come if he's just like the other side of the country.
I know.
It sucks, but it's fun. I'm enjoying it.
One of the complaints I've read, and having not played the game, I can't obviously say anything, but I found interesting, was that people. What's the character's name? Arthur Morgan.
Arthur Morgan. Yep.
One of the complaints I was saying was that Arthur Morgan's story isn't as interesting because there isn't like a quickly set up like goal for the story, whereas John Marston had very much from the get-go.
I think
the goal of this game
is
is to take down and kill the people, whereas his stories I've read is very much like, it's a world, do stuff.
Yeah,
Less
it's a very slow burn, especially the
slow
first couple
burn.
hours.
And I think the biggest problem is that there doesn't. I think it could have been fixed if some. I don't even know if it's spoilers. Minor spoilers. When you start after a job has gone horribly wrong, and you start as the gang is running away or they've fled. And I think maybe if you had played the job that went wrong before that point, maybe people would feel more connected rather than just be like, "Hey, you're running away." I think for people who just who understand that, like, who get the feeling that the game is wanting you to be Arthur and live his life and care about the things and talk to people, talk to everybody you can, and the game is full of little moments that aren't. They don't force you to do anything, but it's up to you to invest in them. Like, there's throughout the time, I don't know if you've got to this point at all, Ashley. Throughout the game, there are parties for your camp. So your camp has a party, and
Yep.
people are singing and dancing and drinking and stuff. And you could go straight to bed because you can't do like any quest givers that are a part of the gang. You can't do their quests yet or anything like that. So you can just go straight to bed and skip the party, and it's, whatever. Or you can spend time like drinking, dancing with some people, or, singing a campfire song and hanging out. And that's up to you. I guess people who just want that GTA style of we're running and gunning and exploding things and we're making a bunch of money really quickly and stuff like that, Red Dead isn't probably the game for you. It is kind of slow, but if you're going to get yourself invested in the storyline and invested in playing out Arthur Morgan's character, then hell yeah, definitely, it's 100% the right game for you to play.
Yep. It definitely
Agree,
feels
Ash.
like a Western game after watching a couple of Western movies for what you wanna watch.
And there is, like, even just down to the mechanics of you can put a handkerchief or a neckerchief or whatever, like a face mask over your mouth so you can cover stuff, but even if you rob a place, then if you go back without the mask on but in the same clothes, they'll be like, "Oh, it's you. Wait, you're the bad guy. You'll get wanted straight away." Like, It's not. The game plays very, very realistic in itself. It's really good
Yeah,
for me.
it's smart-ish. Yeah.
Smart-ish, yes.
Smartish.
Yeah.
Very good.
Also,
I'm glad yous
the
all agree.
Lenny Bar scene.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. There's so many
Maybe you
questions
should just
I
buy the
have.
game to play that.
Like, literally, there's just a scene where you get absolutely plastered and just some weird things happen. I didn't think it was going to go that far, but it did.
Look, if 2K wants to send me a copy, I'll check it out. But other than that, it's probably not happening. I'm sorry
Fair
to
enough.
say.
Fair enough.
That's fine.
That's fair. It's you're allowed to
It
not like
apparently
it.
isn't for everybody, so that's fine.
I've played a couple of things this week that I want to talk about. Though.
Okay.
The first one, Deltarune. Did either of you know about this and/or care and/or have played Undertale?
I know what it is.
I have
I
Undertale. I
don't-
played Undertale.
Yeah.
So Toby Fox, one night, I can't remember the exact day, earlier last week earlier last week, began tweeting out all this stuff and then just dropped a link and it was like, here's the thing, and it went to a website and you downloaded it and it was called something like survey_test. And I played it at the perfect time. I played it right as he tweeted it. I was up and I was like, it was like 12:30 in the morning. I'm like, fuck yes, I'm jumping into this right now. Let's go. Let's see what this is. So I didn't have anything spoiled for me, which was fantastic because like I didn't have the actual thing that's a sequel spin-off to Undertale spoiled for me. I jumped in because at the start it is like a survey test. It's just asking you questions. It's like create a character, blah blah blah. Put in your name of this character. Who's the name of the person that created this character? You do this for like 5 to 10 minutes, or how long you want to spend fucking around the character, and then you click OK, yes, send off, and it just comes off. Yeah, none of that stuff you did really mattered, and then like the screen flashes and it takes you to a world that very much looks like Undertale. And you're like, holy shit, this guy, what are we doing? What's going on? So that was pretty crazy. And I'm not like a super fan of Undertale because there are, and I say that easy because Undertale has like crazy, like people dived into that game. Still to this day, people are dissecting elements of that game and its characters and elements to it constantly. Still videos coming out about it. So it's crazy. But I only played it last year when it came to PlayStation. That's the first time I played it. So it was probably more fresh in my memory. And I really, really enjoyed it when I played it. And I wished I'd actually played it on PC instead of waiting for it to come out. So,
but that platinum.
When this dropped, sorry?
But that
platinum. But it was easy platinum. Yeah, that was the thing.
It was easy platinum that robbed the experience of the game.
I wouldn't because you didn't have to play the game any differently. That's the good thing about it. It wasn't you could just play the game normally.
But there was a game you could play it. It was easier to do it one way.
No, I just played it normally and I got to play it.
Okay.
Like 80 or 90% of the trophies where all you did was walk into a room and give a dog money, which the dog represents for Toby Fox. So
yeah,
that's how he just trolled the trophy list because he doesn't care about them, which made sense. But like I won't go on spoilers because like obviously it's a story heavy thing, but it's Deltarune. Deltarune is a like anagram of Undertale, so that's and there's like some other elements of that sort of stuff that happens in the game. So I've of course when I finished it dived into Reddit forums and all sorts of YouTube videos to see what people have thought, and people are dissecting the fuck out of it, of course, which is really, really fun to watch and read people's theories about stuff. People are like, is it a prequel? Is it a thing? Is it whatever? It pretty much seems like a alternative world to that of Undertale. How it's all going to connect to Undertale, who knows? But the most interesting thing I think about the game is the fact that he just dropped this for free, and it'll take you of a minimum if you rush it 2 hours to finish. If you're actually taking your time and talking to characters and fucking around, I reckon you could easily get somewhere like upwards of 4 hours out of this. And this is a free thing he just dropped, you know? And he said in an interview, so I got this thing from Variety here. So I'll just read like a little bit of their article about it. Over 3 years after the release of the ambitious Smash RPG Undertale, director Toby Fox released what appeared to be a spiritual follow-up, Deltarune, with little notice. At first glance, it appears to be the same universe as Undertale, with the same art style and many of the same characters living peacefully. The download page Deltarune calls it Chapter 1, and says it's tended to be played by those who finished Undertale. But Deltarune isn't just a demo, and the scope is far beyond that of any sequel, especially to creator Toby Fox. In fact, according to a tweet-longer post to Fox's personal account, it technically isn't even a sequel or directly related to Undertale's original plot at all. Quote, I will say that basically what you're seeing here is not the world of Undertale, Fox explains. Deltarune's world is a different one with different characters that have lived different lives. For those with questions about the game's setting and timeline, especially Undertale fans, Fox said squarely, please don't worry too much about that. He went on to write that the game will be a far different experience than Undertale. If you've played Undertale, I don't think I can make anything that makes you feel that way again, Fox wrote. Then it continued to say, in other words, so I'm going to try making a team. This is another interesting thing because he points out that this demo that quote demo, even though it's basically a full game, that he released for free is what he's been working on for the last couple of years. And that's what he's just put out for free for whatever, because he's an interesting person. Did try to make any money of it. I know it worked marketing wise, I guess, and whatever. So, but he said that he wants to get the full Deltarune experience out. He is now going to start putting together a team. He hasn't even started that yet. He wants to put together a development team to help continue working on the game. So, quote, I'm going to try making a team because I really want to make this, but I may not be able to succeed because I have no experience successfully directing a team, and I have no idea who I'm going to work with. Since I haven't started assembling the team yet, I have absolutely no estimation of its completion. It could take up to 99 years depending on the efficiency levels. In other words, until Fox knows who he's working with, Deltarune's next chapter won't be out for the foreseeable future. He says he's not ready for a Kickstarter and he won't set a date and do pre-orders as to create unnecessary pressure. Quote, it just seems like the best way not to burn anybody. So it's interesting that he puts out this thing and it does end on a cliffhanger, of course.
Son of a
a really interesting cliffhanger where you're like, fuck, like what's that mean for that character? And
That's
it's
the worst.
Yeah, I think it's just this is the positive and how good Toby Fox is at doing these characters, because I only spent like 3 hours in my playthrough, and by the end of it I was already like, I like this card, I really like this card, I want to spend more
You're
time in this
invested.
world. Like I was attached very fast because he just hooks you in with
I'm
something
glad
about his
as a developer,
writing.
he's already come out and said, "Hey, just forewarning you, I can't make you feel the way that Undertale made you feel." Highlighting that Undertale is a very special experience for people to play through, and what you feel can't be replicated, which is a good thing to do. When I read that, I kind of read like, and he probably won't. Toby doesn't strike me as the person to do it, but like, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody very smart at, say, like Microsoft or Nintendo or Sony came up and said, "Hey, we'll help you put a team together and we can help you we'll help guide you through this." Like, you know,
it's a possibility he could.
That's
get
what
these
I was about
offers,
to
yeah.
ask if somebody would do.
I think it would be a very smart move. And that with him doing it this way, it can show them just how much of an audience there is for it. Like, just how much of a big thing this could be for them to get involved with. And I think it's a really good way to show that.
I kind of respect that this didn't drop with a Kickstarter or
Yeah,
anything.
definitely.
It's just like, here's a thing, I don't know when it's going to be out. I'm sorry, I know you want it, but at the same time,
I want to share it.
I'm not asking for money or anything. I'm just saying, like,
I just want people to go and enjoy this. Like, you know,
Yeah.
he doesn't want Star Citizen 2.0 as a Kickstarter because nobody wants that.
given what I said before, how people are still dissecting Undertale, people will be dissecting what is in this for quite some time still. That's the thing. So people are, it's you can play through it very quickly and be like, okay, I'm over, move on with your life. But the big Undertale community and so on are going to be pulling this apart for quite some time. One of the interesting things I'll say for this, if you've played Undertale, without going into spoilers once again, but one of the interesting gameplay mechanic wise is that you have a party in this. So in the first Undertale, you just fought quotation marks, because you could of course choose to play the game without ever trying to fight anyone. You could do the same thing in this. In fact, this one kind of basically forces you to not want to fight anyone, which is one of the interesting decisions. But it also gives you a party. So you get a couple different people, and you always have more characters with you at all time in fights and outside of fights. So it's more of a group than a solo experience that the first Undertale was. Really, really interesting. I'm gonna just, if I see any interesting articles pop up over the next couple months or whatever, I'm just gonna continue reading stuff about it and whatever. Tumblr's already gone crazy. There's fan art fucking galore for all the characters. It is nuts.
I enjoy when there's stuff when developers don't feel the need to give out every piece of detail in the content they release. When they're not, they're not like some movies where, movies nowadays, trailers pretty much give you the entire movie. Like through a lot of big blockbusters, they just kind of give you the movie, and this is what the plot is. Pay to go see a more fleshed out version, whatever.
Yeah.
But games and developers are now taking the time to craft things like the Overwatch animation that just came out, Reunion. Even though it was what people wanted for one of the characters, it still left a lot of questions there and added more questions to the whole thing. Like, there's still more for fans to dig into and really love and get to know.
Yeah. So the other thing I played this week was Infliction, which was one of the PAX Rising games. I finished up that, wrote a review for it. That's up on the website. Gave it a 5.5. I think it's enjoyable without problems. It feels like a bunch of different horror genre ideas all mashed into one, and then it goes a bit too heavy into its inspiration, which is obviously the PT demo, and it goes too far into acknowledging that's what inspired it to the point that's so heavy on the nose that it was just too much for me, which was a bit disappointing because the original premise and its story I was finding really, really interesting, because the reason I kept playing through the game is I'm like, these characters, this story, I want to see how it unfolds, but at the same time, some of these decisions you're making, I'm like, the game is literally fighting itself. I'm like, stop, you're making it harder for me to like you. So that was a bit...
So what's the premise?
Sorry.
What's the premise? Without spoiling it, so it starts with you in a car. You're driving home. A voice message from your wife. She's at the airport. So she's forgot airplane tickets. You have to go home to get the airplane tickets. So you get into your house. You got to find the airplane tickets. But then, of course, you're inside the house and spooky stuff starts happening. Like it's not until after you find the plane tickets, which will take you like half an hour or so, that they reveal the true nature of kind of what's going on. And that's when the first half an hour, it's like, yeah, whatever. But when they reveal kind of what's more happening, I'm like, oh, that's an interesting way to take this story. Okay, sure. That's when I was enjoying it a bit more.
Was it a bit too on the nose with the play style of it? You said there was different horror genres kind of mashed up. Were they mashed up where they were kind of they were being played at the same time, or was it like this is the Survivor horror
different
section.
sections of the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The PT on the nose is basically, I mean, there is one shot where you wake up in the middle of the room and there's a swinging chandelier above you making
it's like a fridge
noise.
So it's a fridge.
And then there's also the creepy ghost lady leaning over the balcony right above you, just like you see in PT.
I think I saw a Kotaku article or something with just that picture on it earlier today, but I didn't read anything. But I was like, has somebody ripped off and remade PT because it's getting deleted from hard drives or whatever?
It was that one shot is the moment I was like, fuck, you pretty much just recreated a shot exactly from PT. And I got like, you going around the house, creepy chandelier, all that sort of stuff. I'm like, yes, PT, whatever. But when there was that one shot, it was just too much. I was like, okay. But it's not the whole game. It's just that one part just really turned me the wrong way. But that's like, but having said that, I feel like I use the review scale actually properly, and I don't start at 7 as being I feel like most sites 7, anything less than 7 is apparently bad, but 7 and up is where it's only good. 5.5 means, 5.5 on Explosion Network does mean it's okay. It's got issues.
It's not trash.
It's not trash. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's 5.5 out of 10. There is a full review scale.
Some of the bigger games, it's like Nickelodeon Racing 5, and everybody's like, "Oh God!" Like, it's a Nickelodeon game.
Yeah.
For us, it's like, it's okay.
If it's actually trash on Explosion Network is like a 1 to 3, which is if you're using the 10-point scale properly, I feel. But anyway, so the other game I played, another horror one, I've just put up a review for on Explosion Network as well. Gave it a 6.5. It's Call of Cthulhu. It is, if you like the Cthulhu mythos and H.P. Lovecraft's work, then you'll probably enjoy this. It doesn't do anything particularly special. It is very much what you would expect it to be, which is one of the problems I had with it, because in this day and age when there are so many other TV shows, movies, and games that are inspired by H.P. Lovecraft stuff, be it from Bloodborne in gaming to True Detective and the TV show spectrum of stuff, they're all things that are inspired by and do different things with, and True Detective is inspired by and tackles some of H.P. Lovecraft's like racism and misogyny and stuff like that. This game kind of just ignores all of Lovecraft's history, and it's just... It's fine, but I'm like, in 2018, unless you're bringing something new to the table with Lovecraft, then I just don't think it's super interesting, So
that's fair enough.
But that's okay. Another thing I was going to shout out real quickly is this is another PAX tie-in. There was a game that Shree tried out when was at PAX, and I watched her play it, called Owls and Vowels, which is a mobile...
The bird.
Owls? The bird.
And vowels. As in AIEOU.
Yeah.
Sometimes Y.
Owls and vowels. They drawn to it at the PAX thing because they had a giant fucking plushy owl that you could win. if you got like the
Did she
highest
win
words
it?
score or something. No, I didn't win it. She just stayed there all day and done that. Hey, but I
Or
found
buy
out
pins,
like,
one or the other.
tried it out there. As soon as we walked away from the place, I looked it up and found out the game was already out. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. When I get home, I'm going to download that and give it a go. I've been playing it on and off the last couple of days. It's a really fun, just as it sounds, it's a like match word game, except for like you can do it in all different directions. It doesn't stick you in, which I much prefer. So you get all the letters that come down in a block thing, but you don't have to match them in a straight line. You can go diagonal up, then diagonal the other direction. You can do it any way you want. And then they'll do theme stuff. So in certain sections of levels, like the first section you start in, the theme is birds. Like that's how it starts, obviously, because owls.
Shocking.
And you get extra points for using words that are to do with birds and stuff. And you can bring up a list. Also, that's handy. They're like, here are a bunch of words that'll score you extra points, and you can click on the words if you don't know the meaning for them, and they'll read you the dictionary meaning, which is nice. So
That's cool.
of course, learning experience, but it's kind of fun at the same time, and it's a time killer thing. It is free. It does have, of course,
Pay
you
DLC.
pay money to get be able to swap letters around on the field and all that sort of stuff.
for
if
power-ups
that's
and that
what you
sort
want
of
to do. Yeah, power-ups and stuff. But you get them for daily bonuses and completing levels and all that sort of stuff. It's like, so you don't need to put money in. I feel absolutely no need to put money in. Like, I don't feel like it's trying to be predatory at all, which is fine. The option is, of course, there if that's the way you want to go about it. But I thought it was worth shouting out that one because saw it at PAX. It was cool. I tried it out now. I agree. It is still cool. Having the cute little owl in every level talk to you does bring a little bit of charm to it's not like super boring, because it's like, here's a game trying to teach you stuff and like mind games, but most of the time I feel they're so boring in their aesthetic and like,
and it's really obvious. Like there's no effort to kind of involve you in the game. It's just like, you need to gather all the vowels. Instead of there being like a character that is more
this one's got a cool character and it's popped and a little bit more interesting. So that was really cool. That's all we have been playing, though. All the games. Let's move on to the main topic. So this week, one of the biggest things that's happened, as we were just talking about before, of course, BlizzCon was on, Overwatch World Cup, all sorts of things happening. But one of the bigger things coming out of it was the announcement of Diablo Immortal, for which Blizzard copped nothing but vitriol hate, because it is a Diablo mobile game, and fans were expecting Diablo 4. I feel like this is obviously the biggest gaming related news story of the past week. It has been everywhere all over social media. It is hard to ignore people tweeting about it from either side, if that's the way you want to put it. Although I'm like, what are the fucking sides? I don't like, it's a weird thing. So basically what happened,
the angry side and the not angry side.
Yeah,
no, it's the angry side and the angrier side.
If you don't know, I'll read from this IGN article real quick to cover what happened. During the BlizzCon's opening ceremony, Blizzard announced Diablo Immortal, a brand new Diablo game made exclusively for iOS and Android mobile devices, but Diablo community has reacted extremely negatively. The cinematic reveal trailer has vastly more dislikes than likes on YouTube, with, at the time of this article being written, 85k dislikes compared to 3.3k likes. That is a fucking way difference. Additionally, there are reports on Reddit that negative comments are being removed from the trailers, though there are currently still plenty there to read. The backlash is manifest in person at BlizzCon, with one attendee, this is the biggest thing, sarcastically asking the Diablo developers if the game's announcement was, quote, an out-of-season April Fool's joke. Blizzard responded by saying on stage, no, it's a fully fledged Diablo experience on mobile, and they had a whole awkward back and forth. And then later, a couple days later, or a day later or something like that, BlizzCon followed up and saying that to reports of it being a reskin of NetEase, who is developing the game, like a reskin of Diablo stuff on top of the other games, said, I don't think mobile should be a dirty word. Explaining that developers at Blizzard play and enjoy games on all platforms. When it came to looking and making a new Diablo game, and this opportunity to partner with NetEase to make this, the technology is there, where our mobile phones are more powerful than ever and they're capable of top-tier gaming experiences. Cheng responded to claims that Diablo Immortal may be reskinned by saying the following quote, "We've been working with NetEase Games from the beginning as a partnership to create everything in Diablo Immortal. We have artists on our side, they have artists on their side, and we are working together as a team, as a partnership to create everything that Diablo Immortal, the environments, the characters, the skills, the story." So that's kind of how the original story, but then just today of recording, there was a bit more that came out. So Jason Schreier put out a story on Kotaku that reported that they were close to revealing Diablo 4 at BlizzCon, but apparently last minute pulled it, although Blizzard then responded to this story and said that is a whole heap of baloney. So the original story went that Jason Schreier from sources said that they originally going to have founder Alan Adheim would come out and tell the audience in the video that Diablo 4 was in development. They weren't going to show anything, but he was just going to be like in a quick video, just basically say that we're working on the game, and it was going to be some sort of, title or anything like that. It wasn't going to be a whole big dealio. But then after they put that out, Blizzard responded and said that was a quote. "First off, we want to mention that we definitely hear our community. We generally don't comment on rumors and speculation, but we can say that we didn't pull any announcements from BlizzCon this year or have plans for other announcements. We do continue to have different teams working on multiple unannounced Diablo projects, and we look forward to announcing them when the time is right." And also on top of that, I did see, for instance, Alana Pierce also responded to Jason's story and said, "I'm not calling your story," something along the lines, this isn't a quote, but she basically responded and said, "I'm not calling your story bullshit, or that your sources didn't tell you one thing," but she said that my sources also at Blizzard have told me that they were never going to show any sort of trailer. So there is conflicting reports everywhere all about there. What are our thoughts about what are our thoughts about the whole story, I suppose, and then what are your thoughts about the game after that? But let's just start with you, Ash. How do you feel about this whole thing that's been happening this week?
No, it's been a kind of a shit show, hasn't it?
That's one way to put it, yeah.
I think we could all agree Blizzard did not handle this very well.
No.
They kind of set it out to die, from what I understand. They put it out last in this press conference. At a second last.
Because, yes.
At a hardcore, like their most hardcore fans who are like PC Master Race, whatever. And you decide to put out one of your biggest franchises where you haven't put a new entry out in 6 years.
So to define it even more for
yeah.
you. So BlizzCon was set up in a way that if you're a supporter of a certain game, you went to a certain stage. So main stage had like World of Warcraft and Diablo.
Okay.
The Overwatch World Cup Stadium had Overwatch stuff there, and Hearthstone was supposed to have its own little arena for it. So for each one, and I think Heroes of the Storm, I can't remember if there was Heroes of the Storm stuff there. But, so for most of it, the camera they would jump from place to place to do it. And so the place that they did the Diablo stuff was for people that specifically came there because they love Diablo. Or they're hardcore enough to make the journey to Anaheim to be a part of the whole thing.
Yeah. And yeah, they expected it to be a Diablo 4 reveal, and it was not. Obviously, everything that happened afterwards and some of the fan outrage was over the top and disrespectful.
Very.
Yeah, I don't know what else you can really say about it. I don't know how much I believe whether they had a Diablo 4 teaser and they pulled it. I think that might be someone saying something to try and save face. But, yeah. It's interesting because apparently Diablo 4's been they've been working on it for a while, but they've been...
The rumor is they've scrapped it several times.
They've scrapped it and started again, yeah. So,
yeah. What do you think about the game itself, though, in general?
Looks
Diablo
fine.
on mobile.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of lots of mobiles games where you need to touch and move around on the screen.
The Fate controller.
Yeah, the Fate, the virtual joystick sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because the screen gets hot. And
screen gets hot, man.
Yeah, and your thumb, it gets hot and sweaty. Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah.
It looks fine. I mean, how many different gaming franchises are now on mobile?
Nearly all of them. That's the main point, yeah.
Final Fantasy, the Bravely game just released one on mobile. a ton of different franchises that are mobile.
You make
I
more
don't-
money. That's the truth.
It's
of it,
it's
so.
just over the top.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Ciaran?
So this is both Blizzard's fault and not Blizzard's fault. So, like, it wasn't Blizzard's fault that the fans understanding. Well, Blizzard should have understood that going into BlizzCon, the fans kind of just random hype and the build up of anticipation was for Diablo 4. That was just the anticipation people going in. That
That they built
We're going to
themselves
see Diablo 4.
is
We're
worth-
going to see something of Diablo 4 in this convention. Then they played the trailer for Diablo Immortal, and if you watch the trailer, it's not super obvious that it's a mobile game.
To be fair, I'll put my 2 cents on that real quick. Basically all of Blizzard's games have CG trailers.
They do. But it then starts showing like more kind of gameplay kind of things with people playing the classes and stuff and the classes doing stuff, and it doesn't look like it's mobile. And then they start saying ambiguous terms like play this game anywhere, which for me, when I originally saw that, I meant, oh, it's going to be on every platform and it's going to be cross-platform. You know, just being a bit ignorant for myself. And it wasn't ever obvious that this was a mobile game until it panned to a section where they had cosplayers and stuff set up in an area in BlizzCon, all playing it on mobile.
I'm pretty
And it
sure
was
it said
kinda like-
massively online from mobile in the trailer.
Did it?
Yep.
I can't remember
It
seeing
was some
when I watched
bullshit. It was like
And then
anime
the trailer pulls out
RPG.
and it's on a phone.
Yeah.
Is it?
Unless they didn't show
okay.
that during the...
Unless I can't remember seeing it. I was really tired.
By the
This
end of the
was like-
trailer, they do zoom out and they show it's a phone. So
Yeah.
They do? Okay. I was probably a bit confused by it or half asleep. That's fine.
You were so outraged.
No, I was like, it's Diablo, but it's not Diablo 4. I think if they had that 20 seconds of crap, like, you know, aka what Bethesda did with Elder Scrolls at their E3 conference, where they did a meaningless trailer just to say, hey, this is in the works still.
You mean your favorite moment of E3?
Yes, indeed. Just that bit, just to say, hey, this is definitely in the works, and this is, you know, it's nothing from the game. It's just panning over a landscape. If they'd had that, I think they would have saved so much face from this game. Like, I think they would have saved so much face from this. But to say the only thing we have for the Diablo fans is a mobile game in the same year that Command and Conquer, whatever the hell that
That's
esports
still not
mobile
out
game
yet.
was. No, whatever that was shoutcasted at E3 and everybody hated.
To be fair, everybody hated it before it was renounced
And
as
look,
Command and Conquer.
there is for Blizzard, there is from the gaming community, mobile games is a dirty word.
Yeah.
It just is. But it shouldn't be a dirty word. Like, people should be allowed to play on mobile games and be treated fairly and treated like they're a game.
Dylan's favorite
Sure.
game of the year is a mobile game.
Exactly, you know. Like, you know, you've just spent 1,000 hours doing fucking Fallout Shelter, and that started as a
Yeah.
mobile game. Like, mobile games can be really good. I don't know how this can be good. Like, I'd like to see how it controls and what you do, because yeah, there's a whole bunch of things, but what I see from the game, it's like, I don't know. I'm not overly enamored with the game. I think it's partly Blizzard's fault for how they've handled it, but at the same time, people should temper expectations and not be like not be outraged when their expectations are not met.
So yeah, I agree. Blizzard handled it like this was the worst place. I don't know why you'd reveal this. Like if you was going to reveal it there, you'd do it with something else. You don't.
On a different scale, it's like as if Sony had done PSX last year, or no, done the E3 conference from this year, but hadn't put out anything about it. Like, hadn't been like,
This is
this
what
is
we're
what's
doing.
happening.
Yeah.
Is
what
it
we're
like
doing
when
this
Sony
year.
did PSX last year and said we're not going to show anything interesting? Then people all
Yeah.
got pissed that they didn't show anything interesting.
Exactly. Like, it's like at least Sony. So, like, the pissed offness at that, what isn't nearly at the random scale of pissed offness that the Blizzard fans are currently at. But Yeah, I think if it would have been like PSX would have been 10 times worse if they hadn't said that.
Look, I think the pissed off thing does actually come down to, look, Blizzard, the people attending this are your PC big, hashtag master race or whatever you want to call it people. And they, like, I don't want to say all of them are, but I feel like the majority, like, of the time, the angrier gaming population is from...
Because they feel a little bit mistreated, but,
Mistreated? It's
a little bit.
Fucking
yeah.
the gamers aren't a thing. Oh my god! Don't even get me started. I'm mistreated as a gamer. Fucking fuck off.
Hell, you
PC
get all your
games
games for
cop a lot of
cheaper.
flack.
You can't be mistreated. People develop games where it's easier and more
Yeah,
money.
No,
and
but like
Most
there's a lot
indie
more
games come to you guys
focus.
first.
fucking women are getting less money in jobs, and black people are getting fucking bashed on the street these days. And you got gamers over here saying I'm getting mistreated. Jesus Christ! Third world country shit's happening. Gamers are mistreated. Fuck out of my life. Jesus Christ. This is no different than say Star Wars Celebration happened, right? And one year they're like Star Wars Celebration's happening, and there was a rumor circulating that they was going to show an Obi-Wan trailer or something like that. But no, they never said it. Star Wars Celebration was to happen. They wouldn't show the trailer, and they announced like some other shit that no one.
They announced a Jar Jar Binks movie.
Something like that. You know what I mean?
No,
Something like that.
They started something that could have potentially been the Obi-Wan trailer and swerved. Like something that could
so it
have,
has the Star
like,
Wars logo, and then it's not Obi-Wan. Like that's how simple it would need to be.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
It's like people put this expectation on themselves, and like I'm saying, I agree. Blizzard announcing it as their big thing at BlizzCon was a horrible decision, and whoever made that decision should like learn their lesson from this. I'm not like they don't deserve to lose their fucking job because it's overall it's a simple mistake or whatever. And I don't even know if it was up to BlizzCon. I would presume that this was an Activision decision as the co-owners of the owners of Blizzard, that whole join in. So that's where it would probably come down to. The whole reason this game probably happened in the first place is because Activision probably knocked on their door and was like, "Hey, you should make a mobile game. Here's the money you'll make." And Blizzard was like, "Sure." Like, why wouldn't you say sure if they're like, "Here's the graphical proof that you will make money if we make a Diablo mobile game," and they just looked at it and went, "Yeah, sure. Okay. Why not? Do we have to do it? No, we're going to hire these other people to do it." Why wouldn't you?
When I look, this game still won't bomb. Even though people are angry, this game will still make
it won't bomb. And then I've also heard of
that's because it's going to be huge in China, and all the angry people are speaking English.
Well, the other thing I've read, right? So most of the reports you read on Twitter are just from angry white gamer dude complaining about fucking his usual problems, right? But then I've read other stuff like people saying, look, I've got friends that don't play games that much, and I'm a huge Diablo fan and whatever, and I've always tried to get them more into these games, but they're like, oh yeah, no, it looks too hard, too hardcore or whatever. But they're like, the idea of this being on the phone will be easier for me to turn to my friend and say, here, try it. And that might be the gateway drug that I can use to get them to get into actual Diablo. Yeah. And people are pointing out positive reasons for this, and all these things are true. That is a proven thing. I've read many stories and tales, and you hear stuff about people not really being into video games, and they use mobile gaming as a gateway into bigger. They start at mobile. All of a sudden they get a Switch. All of a sudden they got a console. All of a sudden they've got a PC. It's their entry point because it's not as
intimidating.
Like you're not like, oh, there's keyboard and mouse. There's a controller I've got to learn. It's just like, here's a phone. I already own it. Put it on it.
Somebody started playing Fortnite on the phone, and their mate's gone, it's a lot more fun to play on a PlayStation.
Yeah,
certainly
and
is.
They're like, oh,
these things happen. So
yeah, and I think the other problem with it is, I've completely lost my train of thought. I'll wait for it at the next. I'll wait for it at the next station.
I think it's interesting that people have automatically one of the arguments they're going to assume Blizzard is going to price gouge people. Because it's a mobile game,
That's
what I'm talking. Like, let's look at that. Let's look at that game I was talking about before, like Owls and Vowels, right? It has mobile it has transactions and stuff. People who don't play a lot of mobile games or games with any sorts of transactions stuff available, like for you to do, they look at anything that has the option as bad, right? But there is a big difference between there is the option there because the game is free to play. and that they have to put the option in it and allow people to do it, versus this is very predatory. It's popping up in your screen every 2 minutes, trying to make you buy stuff.
Yeah.
Everywhere you stop in the game, it's telling you to spend money. That is when it's bad. There is a big difference.
It's like when people have said about Assassin's Creed Odyssey being like, oh, it's all about this, blah, blah, there's too many microtransactions. And I'm like, I've barely seen anything. I don't think I've seen anything that could, even lend itself to be a part of
Having
that.
the option to have microtransactions is too much for some people.
Yeah, people go out of their way to be angry. And do you think this is... Sorry, caught the train back at the next station. Got my thought train back.
Cool.
Jump on.
Do you think this guy, this one person being so openly negative about the game in Anaheim at this Q&A, has he sparked it for more people to be openly outraged than they possibly be?
Yes,
yeah, exactly.
You see one person do it, and then you
him a
feel like
hero.
you can do it. Yeah.
People are photoshopping him on the Hearthstone cards and all this other stuff. I'm saying that, like, calling him like, this guy's such a hero. Oh, this guy spoke for true gamers and showed us what's what. Look, here's the thing. I hate when people, like, I don't care if people are like, I don't like mobile games, it's just not want to play games. That's fine. That's obvious thing. I don't like when people jump on this mobile games suck, mobile games are bullshit, mobile games are for casual girls, babies, this sort of shit, right? This is the thing. And people were chucking around this is something I do believe, and I saw a lot of people talking about it, which is that most of the time, why do bro gamer shits on mobile games is because it is something to do with them associating it towards casual / girl gamers, and they have that whole protection gate of, well, hardcore gaming's for boys and they've got to keep the fucking girls and the casuals out and all this sort of thing, and they associate mobile games to that market. So for their big franchise that they're like is hardcore and ours, to all of a sudden be on the thing they associate with fucking fake gamer girls and casuals and whatever other words they want to throw around, it fucking pisses them off because they have small dicks. As far I'm not saying that's how it is for everyone. Some of the people may different reasons. I believe that would be something that a lot of people truly believe, even if they that's not exactly what they're saying. But I do think that's part of the ingrained problem with mobile gaming directly, because a lot of people still shit on it and associate it with casuals and all this sort of stuff, and don't treat it like a serious sort of serious platform to put games at all, full stop, and they associate it with just
I would assume
casual
mobile
crap.
gaming is more or even equal to the amount of income that console or PC game would be at this point. I would assume
It probably makes more.
the amount of
but-
revenues they would make. Yeah.
There's reasons for, like, companies as big as Nintendo putting stuff on mobile.
Yeah, like Mario and whatever else. Yeah.
Yeah, there's reasons for it. Like, there is a market there, and there is evidence to say you do make money off it. And at the end of the day, and this might piss people off, or you might be really shocked, audience members, people make games to make money.
Yeah, it's crazy.
At the end of the day, that is the, that is why they do it.
I think it's just another example of people having an inflated sense of ownership over a franchise.
Yes.
Yeah. They're like,
And it
look, I
seems
understand.
it'll keep happening every couple of weeks.
Yeah, it'll happen all the time. I understand you go to BlizzCon, you want to see something, but look, you put that on yourself, right? Should they have revealed this there? No. They would have been better off not revealing fucking anything, honestly.
It's like if people had been pissed off, or had been this level of pissed off. There were people already pissed off. Had been this level of pissed off about the Smash leaks, about the no Banjo Kazooie stuff that had been leaked.
Yeah.
Well,
But,
there was
you know,
still a
you got
lot of
Piranha
backlash
Plant.
to the last, or a lot of angry
There
people
was-
to the last Smash Direct.
There was still, but they were not this level of openly.
But it just boils down to if you're reading leaks and rumors and whatever else, and you're putting that in, like, if you're purchasing tickets to an event based on rumors and speculation and stuff, and then the rumors and speculation doesn't turn out to be true, then it's no one's fault. Like, you went in with false expectations built on nothing, really. That's not Blizzard's fault. But yeah, should Blizzard put this there? No, they obviously have a problem. Whoever is in charge of like making this decision, on whoever that department was and whatever else, they obviously have no idea about the audience that would be attending an event like BlizzCon, and that is its own separate issue that Activision and Blizzard are going to have to sort out on their own terms. However, the bigger issue here is what you're saying, like they're shouting around this guy as a hero, as a thing, like, you know, to yell and treat developers like crap on stage, like setting a precedence for that. If you want to yell at anyone, just shut the fuck up, go home, and, you know, you can say your 2 cents properly and say, why did Activision make this, you know, blah 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 blah. You don't attack the developers on stage. Like, that is a terrible fucking thing. You don't then start tweeting at people. You don't start fighting with people on Twitter because they're disagreeing with this sort of stuff. And yeah, my biggest issue with it is like, if they're putting someone on this pedestal for doing something like this, what that means going forward in the community for the coming months, and what that means, it just doesn't help the mobile gaming at all. It doesn't help. It's just not good for gaming. Full stop. It is not good for gaming. Full stop.
No.
It's not good for Diablo fans, because now they all are going to get, like, honestly, if you're not part of that world, if you're not a Blizzard in the Blizzard circle of any of their games, and now Blizzard fans are getting represented by this one guy who's yelling at devs, it's like, okay, so if you have nothing to do with Blizzard games, and now that's what you associate with being a Blizzard fan, you'd be sitting over there in a corner, and rightfully so, going, Blizzard fans are dicks, right? Like, and it would be hard to not see people just saying that and be like, yeah, well, I mean, we're not all, but I can understand why you would feel that way if the most prominent voice at the moment is some dude fucking yelling that. And then he also went on Reddit and did an AMA. He's like, I played the mobile game, blah, 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 blah. Asked me questions. Yes, it was shit, fucking blah, blah, blah.
Well, didn't he ask Reddit to give him the question?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's not even smart enough to come up with his own question.
It's all around terrible, and yeah, and it just sets up even more, like, when they finally announce Diablo 4, even if it's 2 years from now, you know this story is going to come back up.
Yeah.
Like, no, the internet doesn't forget. It's going to come back up. That dude will come back up. This is forever a fucking thing now, and it forever just starts the whole hardcore gamers versus casuals bullshit, which I don't like. It's like, I don't like any of that stuff. I don't like any of that stuff. I'm fine if you want to talk about, you know, a game is more marketed towards people, like, there's a difference between saying your game is more marketed towards casual players and people that don't play a lot of games, compared to the people who are like hardcore gamers versus casuals versus, you know, do you play fucking all these Call of Duty and fucking Diablo and all this shit? You're a real gamer. If you only play these sorts of games, you're a fucking casual. I don't like any of that stuff, and this is what this stuff puts coals onto the fire about, which is not good for the developers. It's not good for developers. It's not good for publishers. It's not good for PR people. It's not good for the fucking gamers, you know? So,
Yeah.
Just terrible. Fucking
Damn straight.
terrible. Terrible on all accounts.
So lesson learned: don't do Q&As at conventions anymore.
No, do Q&As. Just maybe vet your Qs
Yeah, that too.
in your A's.
I don't know how you do it, though. Like, I don't know how you...
You ask them. Well, even then, yeah. I know what, like, Supernova and that, they ask, the moderator will ask whoever's
Yeah, but
asking
then they
the
can
question,
change their
tell them.
question, I suppose, is the other thing.
Yeah,
So you can get fucked is the problem.
Write in
where
the
do you
questions
think-
first, and then the moderator can
Yeah.
read them. There you go.
Where do you think is the line for voicing your disappointment in something, and how do you go about saying it versus being an absolute dickhead? Like, how
I
do
think
you
there's a
voice
way of
his
doing it-
question? How do you make his question better? You know, like
Maybe ask, you know, ask the question. Okay, what's your view on this game, or what's your view on, or how did you think the audience would react to this? Or I don't know. Even if
There's
the
no
thing
way
is,
his specific question
his
could be...
statement, his specific statement had nothing of any value.
it was just a troll statement. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
It was just a
He's
straw
just being a
statement.
dick.
There was no
Simple as that.
There was no valuable piece of information that could be picked out of that to turn into a good question. It was straight up just wanting to be a dick to people, to the devs' face. And look, if you want to be disappointed with a game, if you want to be angry about a game, do it. Shift your anger and disappointment into a constructive thing. Craft it into a constructive way to assist the dev into making a game that you maybe have more of a chance of playing.
Or go support
Don't
something
attack it.
similar to Diablo 3.
Yeah. Go find something else, or don't attack a dev, because at the end of the day, right, the dev that you said these things to on stage that is now
just spent
being plastered all over it might, they may have made the game, and they may have worked on the game and tried to make the game as good as an experience as possible. But they weren't the ones that said, let's do a mobile
They didn't set out to ruin your fucking life. Like, they just made a game.
They tried to make a game, and they might have been like, oh, well, we've been given this. Let's make something that a Diablo fan could really enjoy. Let's put in lore. Let's put in a storyline that Diablo fans will really enjoy and really like. And all of that is being closed off by this closed-minded idea that mobile gaming is not real gaming.
If you, like, you walk up to stage, you're like, hey, so I'm a little bit disappointed by today's news because I was expecting something about Diablo 4, and to be honest, I don't really like mobile games. Is the purchases in this game going to be predatory? How is it going to, like, do you really think that this was the right place to announce this, and do you think you're going to be able to get hardcore Diablo players to play this? You know? Like, how hard is it to... That's just off the top of my head right now. How hard is it?
It's hard to ask those things when you're angry.
You shouldn't be that angry about something like this. It's a fucking video game.
And if you do angry, because I get some people are dumb and they care so much that they do get angry, take a moment to decompress. Don't just fly off the handle straight away.
Was this Q&A straight after the announced?
It was pretty much like really...
That was
like,
poor. That was poor management as well.
It was the next thing on the main stage. And you know what? Some of these people probably hadn't even touched the game or seen anything more of the game, or they probably just sat there until the Q&A and then done these things.
I'm going to call out Boogie because I did took a picture of his tweet and fucking tweeted it, and he won't ever listen to this. And even if he does, I don't really care because his tweet was shit. So, but he tweeted something, and I'm calling this out because a lot of people are tweeting similar things, and he's obviously a big name YouTube creator or whatever you want to call him.
He's an influencer.
He's an influencer, right? I don't personally watch his stuff anymore. I stopped watching him quite some time ago because I thought he went off the deep end. He said, gamers act entitled because we pay for the game. We are, in fact, entitled to things we pay for, I think. And I'll agree that maybe it's taken too far sometime. But am I entitled to the food I buy being edible, the clothes I buy to fit, a movie to entertain? This is honestly one of the dumbest fucking tweets I've read.
You haven't bought this yet, though. Like, you haven't invested any money in this.
That's exactly my point. That's why I quote retweet. You haven't paid for the fucking game. And lucky I didn't put idiot on it.
I get it if you've purchased a game and it's like, well, this is nothing that I was... Like No Man's Sky. You know, people kind of had, even though, people kind of had a right to be annoyed with that, because what they were sold was not what they got in that initial release.
Yeah, I agree with that to a point. Like, people were once again took it too far and started being too aggressive. Like, obviously you're allowed to be angry and vocal and voice your point, but there is a line where you're like threatening people's lives and all sorts of stuff. Where
that's too far. That's too far. But there were, there was a reason for somebody to say, "Hey,
that was a reason." The game was out. People played it. They got lied to in trailers and talks by Sean Murray and what's all stuff that wasn't actually in the game. Here is people. I'm entitled to the game that I got rumored that I think's happening because I've brought your previous games. That is like honestly going to the sequel of a movie that you like the first one, and if the sequel's shit, being like, well, you fucking Warner Brothers, give me the money back because I paid for your first one and that was good, and now this one's crap. But here's the other thing with art, right? And this is the other thing I come down to that's so ridiculous about this tweet. This mentality is the same sort of thing. If you pay for a video game, you're not entitled for it to be good. Right? If you pay for a movie or a TV show, you're not entitled for it to be good. That's why I always hate this idea of like, this movie was so shit, I got my money back. Why? This TV show was shit, I returned it. Yeah. It's like, that is, if you want to take video games as an art form seriously, one of the things that comes with that is the fact that you can walk in and you can be like, fuck, this was shit. And that sucks for you, but that's too bad. And that's just part of that's part of it. If you go watch a movie at the cinema, you pay $10, $12, whatever you pay, $15, $20, the fucking ridiculous amount, $20, but sure, if that's what you pay. You do that and you hate the movie, too bad. That's just that you're not entitled to it to be good because you like the trailer. You're not entitled to a game.
It's like this idea that like everything should be designed so that everybody liked it. Like that, like Red Dead. Red Dead, people being unsure, or people being, playing the game and playing Red Dead Redemption 2 and being like, guys, I don't like this. I liked the first one, or I thought I was going to like this. I don't like this. And you're like, it's okay not to like something. It's completely fine not to like
No, it's not. It's not fine to not like things anymore. If you don't like something, then there's something wrong with it. Again, Last Jedi.
Like, I bought, I walked into my local corner shop and I saw a chocolate bar I'd never tasted before. It's brand new.
You're entitled for that to be good, Ciaran. So I've heard.
And I walk up and I go, all right, I'll buy that. I eat half of it and go, this is terrible. This has been made out of grass. And then I go and I want my money back. And they're like, no.
It says on the back of the package it's made out of grass, sir. So you should have paid more attention.
Yeah,
to your
like
purchase.
you bought this. It says, look, like it says the brand name for the chocolate's called Evergreen.
Yeah, you
What
fucked
did you
up.
think it was? And
The
it's
world's
like,
first grass chocolate. Yeah.
You made it.
exactly. And it's like, oh, okay. Like that's on you. That's your thing. Like that's not.
Yeah.
That's
One of my-
life.
one of the
That's
last
life.
things I'll
It's not
say
going to be all
before we,
great.
Yeah. One of the last things I'll say before closing this up is like people, the whole argument that gamers aren't entitled, or that's like a lot of thing. People, they just want what they want. Look, let's just think about some of the most recent stories and even look at, there's so much stuff that happens this year. Look at some of the bigger stuff like Spider-Man and the fucking puddles. That was people spitting it because there was a trailer where they thought the puddles were bigger, so the game was all of a sudden shit, and then the graphics had been downgraded, and they'd been lied to, and all this, you know what I mean? Like, it's everywhere. It is, I don't know how you stop the problem, and this is even worse than that, because we thought was getting a game that for some reason we thought was getting because reasons, and you didn't announce it, so now fuck you. If I was Blizzard, I'd be like, hey guys, guess what? We fucking binned that because yous all suck. Too bad. Fuck off.
Fucking hell.
But yeah, no, it's just a really shitty story, and that's the thing. Like, I do think it's I do think because the worst part of it is the negativity coming from this guy and all that sort of thing. But I will just to clarify on the end once again, Blizzard fucked up, but that is their small fuck up has definitely turned into the much wider spectrum of. I don't think it's 50-50 anymore. Like, I'm not like, it's 50% Blizzard's problem and 50% these people rightfully raging or unrightfully raging 50-50. I'm like, at this stage, from all the shit I've seen, it's like, it's Blizzard made a mistake that people should have talked about for like a day and be like, well, it'd be like a shitty E3 show, like Xbox or something. You'd just be like, what the fuck was that? Something like that. Everyone complain for a day and be like, oh, they fucked up. That was a bit weird. I don't know why. Like, do what you need to do. Whatever. But this turned into such an internet fucking tumbleweed that just picked up speed of fuck Blizzard, fuck Activision, fuck this game, fuck mobile.
Everybody
gamers.
just gets so defensive on both sides as well. I think. Like people who have like laid out our rational problems with like the Diablo announcement or whatever, they get drowned out because everybody's thinking they're at the most extreme end of the argument. I feel like.
Yeah, don't talk about this shit on Twitter is one way to go about it. Just don't. Just full stop, don't.
Go find a cave and yell into the void. Just yell into the cave.
Well,
You'll get an answer you appreciate. Come right back, I promise.
Thank you for joining us on the couch this week for the second or the first proper episode of Arcade Couch, the Explosion Network's gaming variety show. Make sure to check out explosionnetwork.com for all our other shows, reviews, news, articles, and more things. Don't forget to rate Arcade Couch on Apple Podcasts if you can to help out the show, or simply share it on social media or something with your friends. They'll help out a lot. You can follow Explosion Network on Twitter at ExplosionPod and join our Discord at explosionnetwork.com/Discord. You can follow me on Twitter at Vivaladil, Vivaladil. You can follow Ash on Twitter at AshleyHobby, ASHLEYHOBLEY. You can follow Ciaran on Twitter at your boy Ringo. It sounds like it sounds YABOYRINGO. I don't think I need to spell his those, but we'll do it once. Until next week, same time, same couch.